All right, I think this is ready to go, right? Yes, it's about right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm Cal Berkey, and I'm very thankful for the 10 of you that are still out here in the audience, and the 15 that's over there shifted into the shade. I do want to tell you two stories from my youth. The first one is kind of based on that movie called The Christmas Story. And The Christmas Story, the second story that I have for you is on becoming a man. So, Christmas Story. The cool thing about that was this young boy, it was winter time, this young boy, there was a post out there, and they dared him to stick his tongue on the post in the winter. And then they double dared him. And then they triple dog dared him, and that's when he put his tongue on it. And immediately after that, the bell rang, all the kids went back into school, and it was so exciting. The teacher looked around and said, "Somebody's missing." And she heard the commotion. The kids in the school said, they didn't know where he was. And she looked out the window, and there he was with his tongue still stuck on the post. Well, I didn't do that. I'm smarter than that. So here I was, 8 years old, and I was making some Kool-Aid. I really enjoy that cherry Kool-Aid. It's really delicious. And I was mixing it up. And, at this time, those plastics had been coming into the world. My mom had been to one of them Tupperware parties, and she came home with those little containers. My fingers are shaking. You scare me. That little containers, and you poured the Kool-Aid into those containers. You pushed a little lid on top of it, put a little plastic thing down inside there, and then because it was curved at the bottom, you got a special tray curved that you set those things in. Because if they fell over, the Kool-Aid ran out, and it was a mess. I got them all together, poured together. I went over to the freezer. Now the freezer was on top of our refrigerator, and I got over to it. And I was holding this thing. I reached up through the freezer door and opened it, and then I took my container and I set those things up. Putting them in, I hit the bottom of the frame for the door there, set it down. But one of them fell over. Two of them fell over. And I had to take care of that. So I got me a chair, and I got over to the freezer. I stood on that chair, and I was up high enough I could now eye level. I could see everything in there, and I straightened them up and got them up like they needed to be. But there was Kool-Aid down there. Now I wasn't triple dog dared, but I had to lick up that Kool-Aid that was missing. I got up in there, got my head down into the freezer, and here I am, hanging in here, trying to get that Kool-Aid. My tongue hit that metal on the bottom, and that was it. That was it. My tongue stuck instantly, just like that kid in that movie. That was so cool. I had so much fun. But, I couldn't get my tongue loose. My brother was in the next room, and I said, "Hey, help me." That was Larry. Larry, come help me. And I repeated it several times. Finally, Larry came. And he saw me, and he started laughing. I could not believe it. And he started grabbing the back of that chair and shaking the chair. And I'm thinking, my tongue, it's going to be pulled off in here. The skin's coming off or something. I said, no. Stop. Larry, stop. Repeated several times, and finally he stopped. I said, Larry, get a water. That's Larry, give me some water. And he went over and got him with the sink and got some water, brought it over to me. Now meanwhile, I'm in this thing, and I can only see what's down here, and I'm reaching out for the water glass, and he didn't give it to me. Finally he did. I got that in, I poured it in there, I released my tongue. Let me tell you, that was a relief to have my tongue off of that thing. And I learned an important lesson that day. And that was never, ever, ever listen to a triple dog dare or nor stick your tongue on a cold piece of metal. Good lesson. So then, the second story, becoming a man. Well, there I was as a kid, and I would watch the movies and the TV. Really cool coming into my world. And I learned that men smoke cigarettes. All the movies, everything I saw, men were smoking cigarettes. Now, I remember going to PTA with my mama one day, and one evening we're there, and one of the lockers was open, and inside that high schooler's locker was a pack of cigarettes. My mama said, "I hope you boys don't ever grow up smoking cigarettes." I said, no, Mama, I'm not going to smoke no cigarettes. I know better than that." Or at least I thought it did. And then I started watching the television commercial. Well, somehow I knew that I had to transition to become an adult, a man. And I didn't know where that was, but I knew it involved cigarettes. And I had to smoke cigarettes to be a man. I thought, well, let me see. But I had, I got to understand candy cigarettes, and I would get that box of candy cigarettes and put it in my shirt sleeve and roll it up, walk around being cool, and then I would get those candy cigarettes. It seemed like you had to blow through them. As you were blowing through them, this powder popped out the end. It was like having smoke. So I knew kind of about candy cigarettes. I started watching the television commercials. And do you know that Chesterfield had proof that they had the highest quality tobacco in their cigarettes? They also had proof that the Chesterfield brand had no smoking of those had no adverse effect on nose, throat, nor sinuses. And this research was done by a medical doctor. So it was okay. And there were other medical doctors that endorsed two brands. One was Salem brand of cigarettes, the other was Cool, because they had menthol in them. So when you had a scratchy throat or you had a cold, all you did was switch to the Cool cigarette or the Salem cigarette, and you would have soothing smoking down your throat. I was just waiting for that opportunity to be a man. I was learning it. And I also learned if you couldn't handle a real man cigarette, they put the filter on the end of it, and you had to, then it took out something, I don't know what it was, but I still didn't know when I could become a man. When do I become a man? So drop that story back just a little bit, and I was 10 years old. My mama said, "Boys, I want you to go out and burn the trash." In those days, we got those brown paper bags, and we took our groceries out, and we used those brown paper bags to put trash in. We'd take them out in a burn barrel. So my brother Larry and I headed out, and we got out there to the bin and to the barrel, and he pulled out his Zippo lighter, flipped it open, put that thumb screw thing on it, popped the flame, started out on fire, and then he pulled out a pack of Chesterfield cigarettes. He was 13 years old, 3 years older than me, and he pulled that thing. He knew his way around a pack of cigarettes. You know how you tear that foil back just around the edge, and they're all tight in there, and you whack them against your finger or something, and a couple of them pop up, and he stuck that in his mouth, and he's smoking a Chesterfield cigarette. He said, "Hey, Calvin, you want a cigarette?" I said, "Yes." I'm thinking, this is it. I'm going to be a man today. I'm going to pass into that world. I'm going to be a man. I didn't know when it was coming, but it's today. I'm going to be a man today. I didn't say all that to him. I said, "Yes." And he pulled out a cigarette, handed it to me, and I put that in my mouth, and he held his Zippo lighter down there, and I began to blow through it. Larry was laughing at me. He was laughing at me. I could not understand it. He said, Calvi, you gotta suck air through that thing. I said, oh, okay. So he held his lighter up again, and I went. All of a sudden, that smoke hit my throat, and I began to cough. Coughing and choking. He's laughing. I could not believe it. And I began to see my beginning of becoming a man is in serious jeopardy now. And I took my next drag on that cigarette. Boom! That cigarette exploded. That guy put what they call the cigarette load in the end of it. That novelty thing you stick in, explosive, gets heat, boom! It blows up the end of the cigarette. I didn't know what to do at that point because I may not be a man. I carefully pulled that out. I pulled off the shreds of paper around the end of it, and it was about that long now. I put it in my mouth. I said, Larry, give me a light. He lit that thing up, and I pulled in a drag. Two brothers, bros, hanging out, being cool, smoking. And then I took my next drag. Boom! He had sucker and stuck another cigarette load further down in that thing, and it blew out. And that time, it was so short, tobacco was blown into my eyes and across my sweaty face, and I lost my dignity. I desperately wanted to be a man that day, and I lost it all. And I pulled that thing out, threw it in the trash, and let that burn away. And that day, I was a kid. And you know, I never shared another cigarette with that brother the rest of my life. He never offered me another cigarette. I remained a kid. And we would go out, and Mom would say, boys, I want you to go out back and burn the trash. And we would go out, and I would watch him start the fire, and would watch so papers didn't fly away and catch anything else on fire. And he would smoke his Chesterfield cigarette. I learned an important lesson then, and that I was too young to smoke. I was not a man, and I had to grow up some more. Thank you very much. I'm Cal Berkey, and I enjoyed the 16 of you that are still here. Thank you.